I got a really cool idea. So stay tuned. Good morning, reefers. Devin with ReefDudes. Now, I have a really cool idea that I've been meaning to try for a while now. Now, how awesome would it be if you had a self-sustaining phyto/pod culture that would continuously dose your tank? Well, is this gonna work? I don't know, but I'm about to find out. Now, a couple theories here. I'm gonna start it very basic and then work my way up to more advanced if needed. Now, when culturing phytoplankton, it generally needs to be very sterile. So whether or not I can culture it straight up with tank water is gonna be kind of the first question. So one of my previous projects was a DIY kelk stir. So you guys, if you followed my channel for a while, you've probably seen this before. So this was my kelk stir. It had a big rod that would rotate and kind of keep the kelk mixed up. So I already have this jar laying around, so I'm gonna take out the stir and use this for my culture. So what I'm thinking, first thing is if I use like an aqua lifter, which I also had one of those kicking around from the kelk stir. So this is literally, I walked into my shed and tried to see what did I have laying around. So we already have an aqua lifter, we already have this jar. So I think we're halfway there. So what I'm thinking, if I pour some existing culture of phytoplankton pods into this, and I feed it with tank water and just let it overflow to drip the tank. So we could do this a couple times a day. Now, is this gonna work? We'll find out. Now, I know it does have to be sterile, so if it doesn't work, step 2 could either be running the water through UV sterilizer or something else first, or feeding it a fresh water supply. But it'd be really cool if I can do it with tank water. So we're gonna start with that. Now, the second thought was, will it just let it water fall out? Will that be good enough? Originally I was thinking using a dosing pump to suck it out, but I don't necessarily want to be potentially crushing the pods if I don't have to. On top of that, this is at expense. So we're gonna start very basic. Now, the next question is, will there be enough nitrate and phosphates in the tank to feed the culture? So if there isn't, then we may have to dose some F2 fertilizer. So that might be step 2. Now the other question is, if the pods grow too much, are they going to potentially eat all the phytoplankton, and will that be able to sustain itself? So if that is the case, then we might need to have a 2-chamber system where the phytoplankton gets pumped into the pod chamber, and the pod chamber with phyto gets mixed and pumped into the tanks. I don't know. So we're going to start. But yeah, step 1, we are going to take this jar and I'm going to fill it up with an existing culture. I'm going to probably throw in a mix of phyto and pods, and we're going to hook this up to the tank and feed it with tank water and see how long it lasts. So step 1, here we come. So we're finally ready to start making this. So this is going to be attempt 1. I am starting very simple. I do have an idea for more of an overly complicated setup, which I think would for sure work. But to keep costs down and to kind of figure out our minimal viable way of doing this, I'm going to start lower and work my way up to the more complicated. So I'm just going to take out the stir out of this old reactor. Now for the down tube, I'm going to be using another bulkhead. So I'm going to have one end that pushes the water into it to make it flow out. And a second bulkhead will be just for the airline. So now to make this hole big enough, we're going to use our trusty step drill bit. Now these guys are great because you can just slowly make a hole bigger until it's the right size. So you don't even necessarily need to know the right size. You can just slowly work it up until it fits. I do have another chunk of clear acrylic, however it's far too big, so we're gonna have to figure out exactly where we need to cut it. Gonna guess I'm around here. Now for cutting this, I've used many different things from razors. This is just like a PVC pipe cutter, and kind of the idea is to just score it around in a circle, and then we can snap it off after that. So you don't want to fully push right through it, or you will probably break it and potentially cause little shards in it. Now if I hold down a little bit and just kind of spin it, it's going to score it. And I can snap it, it gives you a nice clean break. So that's one kind of easy way to size your acrylic rods. Now when you push these in, they will go in, but they're not fully sealed. So if you want to push a little harder, they'll usually hear a snap at some point. There we go. So we heard that extra click and we're golden. So now just want to test to make sure it works. So I probably could have made it a little bit lower. It's a bit high up, but it'll still work. And I'm gonna start by adding nano Propolis, which is one of the easier phytoplankton culture. So we're actually pumping air in. I'm gonna use a little A pump. I got these guys off Amazon and they're super quiet and super tiny. So I've been a fan of these. I've been using it for micro bubbling, and now we're gonna try it for this. And if you guys want these, I'll leave a link in the description below as always. So next we gotta find ourselves some LED lights to use on the build. So I'm gonna go digging around and see what I got around to light up this phytoplankton. Found some LEDs. These are, I believe they're warm white. They're just kind of the waterproof LED strip lights you can grab off Amazon. And I'm gonna wrap this around it, much like you would a phyto reactor. For now, I'm just gonna use a little piece of tape to get it started. Now I'll do this on the back side, so it's gonna sit like this in the tank, so we'll start it over here. And I always like to use the waterproof lights just because it's an extra little peace of mind. That and the rubberness of it actually sticks very nicely to the containers, so it makes your life easier. Let's take this out for now. Now this may be a little bit overkill, but I'm gonna put a little more light towards it because I do want it to grow faster. And it growing faster means it's gonna absorb some more of the tank nutrients, so this potentially may even help with the tank nutrients. Now those tank nutrients are going to help feed the phytoplankton, which is going to help feed the pods, and that's going to get dosed back to the tank, and hopefully it'll be kind of like a perpetual natural food source. But now how long it will last until it crashes, or will there be enough phytoplankton to feed the pods? Will the pods outgrow it? These are all things that we're going to find out over the next few weeks. So I'll probably do an update every couple weeks on this. Once I see how things goes or something interesting happens fast, then you guys will get an update sooner. That's just kind of my initial thoughts on the start of this, and we'll kind of have to see where it goes from there. This is literally just an idea that popped into my head last week, and I think it's gonna be really cool. One of these methods will work, so we're just gonna have to figure out which one through a little bit of experimenting. This about half full of salt water. I got a couple bottles of phytoplankton, and I got a bunch of pods. So I'm gonna start by dumping in the pods. Lots of copepods in here to start things off right. Next, gonna add a couple bottles of phytoplankton. I think I might have added a little too much salt water. Ideally, this would be a bit darker green. You want it fairly dark green when you first start your culture, just to make sure it doesn't die. Now, ideally, I should be adding a fertilizer, something like an F2 to this, but instead, I kind of just want to see how it works in the tank. I want to see if the tank water is enough for fertilizer. So we're gonna just go straight au naturel and see what happens. So just a bit of an example, as the aqualifter pump turns on, it's going to push that water out into the tank. So our center bulkhead is going to be for the air bubbler. Now the air bubbler, we're going to bubble it 24/7. So this one, it doesn't necessarily have to be a controllable port. We can plug this into anything and this will be fine. All right, we've got a different power plug and we are in business. So we'll have to keep an eye on this a bit for the next couple days. Right now it's a little on the light side, so ideally you'd want this to darken up a bit before we start dosing it. That being said, I'm sure the pods are nice and happy in here. Now I'm not quite sure if I need it, but I put a check valve on here just in case. So the check valve is going to go after the dosing line. Now this is just going to be to kind of help prevent any potential issues. Okay, so I just turned the aqualifter on and mainly just want to get an idea of what kind of flow I get from it. So I'm hoping this guy will work since I have it laying around anyways. Okay, so it's just starting to drip out. So the aqualifter is a pretty slow intake, and now it may speed up once it gets going. So what we're gonna do from here is we can probably run this for a couple minutes, a few times a day. We'll wait and see how that works out in a bit. But for now, I'm gonna leave it off for the next day or two just until this culture darkens up, and then I'll start experimenting with how long per day I can dose it without impacting it too much. So there you guys have the start of the experiment on making kind of a perpetual, hopefully infinite kind of going phytoplankton slash pod culture to automatically feed the tank. This is kind of the first in the series. You're gonna have a bunch more videos as I experiment with this, see if this one works, if it fails, what I do next. So hopefully every couple weeks, I'll see what I come up with for the next kind of level experiment, and I'll put out another video on it and keep you guys updated as we go along. If you guys want to try this for yourself, I'll put all the parts in the description below. Otherwise, if you enjoyed this, you think it's a cool idea, hit that like button, and if you want to follow along, make sure you guys hit the subscribe button and that bell to follow along on future updates. Alright guys, I'll catch you on the next video.